What's up, everybody? Welcome back. My name is Rob, and today I'm going to be delving into some cinema with you. If you're part of the Goth community, I think it's a safe statement to make that you probably enjoy many of the same movies that other Goths do. I think universally, there's a list of movies out there that every Goth holds dear to their heart. And while it may be somewhat difficult to narrow it down to an exact official 10, I do believe that I've successfully chosen 10 that would most definitely be considered essential. So without further ado, here are 10 movies that are essential to Goth culture. I also want to note once again that these are in no particular order. These are just what I have deemed to be 10 of the most crucial movies. And I would like to personally kickstart this list with my all-time favorite movie, Bram Stoker's Dracula. When it comes to Gothic horror, this is peak level, my guy. And the funny thing about this movie is that it is in no way, shape, or form scary. I would almost go as far as labeling it a romance movie more than a horror movie. But that's exactly one of the things that makes it Gothic horror, is the varying level of a romance undertone. Bram Stoker's Dracula is by far one of the best vampire films to ever be created, in my opinion. And it's got so many A-list actors in it. Gary Oldman, Winona Ryder, Anthony Hopkins, Keanu Reeves. But I also love this particular retelling of Dracula. I used to think that the portrayal of Dracula and Mina in that movie was what true love really looked like when I was younger. Mina, Kim with Edward Scissorhands, I definitely had a vibe. Up next, we've got The Lost Boys, another vampire flick that shouldn't be caught undead off this list. I like cheesy humor. Shut up. I think this movie embodied the goth aesthetic and attitude of the 80s perfectly. Essentially, you have this group of boys that are outsiders, they dress in black, and they happen to be vampires. How cliche. But in all seriousness, this movie is an absolute masterpiece. And once again, not really scary whatsoever, but it still has the dark undertones and somewhat vibe of being horror. I will say, though, I do love the character David, but I can't help but giggle to myself a little bit every time he says something because he just sounds so creepy. And I don't mean, like, in a scary way.
Drink some of this, Michael. Be one of us.
And now at number 3, we've got the Rocky Horror Picture Show. This is an absolute classic, and it's just all around fun. It also happens to be a musical, and quite possibly the first ever goth musical. For other examples, please check out Sweeney Todd the Demon Barber of Fleet Street, Phantom of the Opera, and Repo the Genetic Opera. But it's really cheesy, the songs are really catchy, it's got a lot of slapstick humor in it, but the horror aesthetic of it has made it a must-own in the goth community. Plus, if you've ever wondered what Tim Curry and drag looks like, well, my friend, here you go. Up next in line, we've got the unforgettable 90s thriller, The Craft. I actually like to refer to this movie as the goth high school thriller of the 90s. I don't know if y'all ever noticed that or not, but that particular style of movie was rampant in the 90s. Scream, The Faculty, Teaching Mrs. Tingle, I Know What You Did Last Summer. But this was the one that appealed to the goth community specifically. The aesthetic of the actors, the themes of witchcraft and spell work. And it also had some really, really good 90s A-list actors in it as well. Like, I'm pretty sure half the cast in that movie was also in Scream. Now at number 5, we've got Queen of the Damned. If you haven't figured this out by now, vampires are kind of a reoccurring theme. Queen of the Damned had what I would consider to be the goth movie soundtrack of my generation. Kind of like the way The Lost Boys would have been for goths in the 80s. And it's also based on the Vampire Chronicles by Anne Rice, which is an author that is highly praised by goths to begin with. But if you're a fan of anything nu metal or industrial related from the late 90s or early 2000s, my guy, you will wear this album out. Korn, Disturbed, Linkin Park, Orgy, they've all got members that contributed in making music for this movie. Up next on this list, we now have The Crow. If you're into Marvel or DC flicks and you find yourself thinking, why aren't there any goth superheroes out there? Well, buddy, here he is. The Crow is centered around a resurrected rock star that comes back from the grave to avenge the death of his fiancée. And one by one, he snuffs out all the gang members responsible, yada yada yada, also in the most entertainingly satisfying fashion possible, I might add.
Victims, aren't we all?
The actor Brandon Lee, who is the son of infamous Bruce Lee, actually passed away making this film due to a freak occurrence while shooting one of the scenes. Now, as far as the remake that came out last year,
How dare you take a goth icon like Eric Draven and make him a sad boy cloud rapper?
I have not watched it and I will not watch it. End of story. You want to know where you really lost me on that? When you made Post Malone the main score. Sit and spin on a twirling lawnmower. Up next on the list, we've got Interview with the Vampire. Once again, another Anne Rice film. And once again, another vampire film. Interview with the Vampire is without a doubt one of the most iconic vampire films of all time, and it also happens to be the first novel in the Vampire Chronicles series. I've actually had the fortune of seeing most of the spots in New Orleans where this movie and Queen of the Damned was filmed. They actually have part of the gate to the house hanging up in Marie Laveau's House of Voodoo. But I think the character Lestat might be one of the most recognizable gothic horror characters within cinema next to Gary Oldman's Dracula.
Are you not hungry, sir?
Au contraire, ma chère. He could eat the whole colony.
Next at number 8, we're at Edward Scissorhands. Edward Scissorhands was the fourth full-length film by director Tim Burton, who is obviously a god in the goth community. It's essentially about an artificial man that lives in a dark castle away from society and gets brought down into the community and introduced to common life. This movie is another one of those that really captured what it's like to be goth in what is deemed ordinary society. Oftentimes you may be shunned, mocked, laughed at, lied about. Except for now, of course, because it's become a trend and even all the ass are doing it. No joke though, it's physically impossible for me to watch this film without tearing up at least once, even to this day. I really correlated a lot with the character of Edward growing up, and I think deep down that's still who I am. I think that's who I've always been. So definitely prepare yourself if you haven't seen it, because it's a tearjerker. Up next on the list, we've got Labyrinth, starring the one and only David Bowie. This is one of those movies that I like to refer to as the 80s dark fantasy B movies. You know, like The Dark Crystal, Legend, The Never-Ending Story, or maybe even The Goonies. A lot of puppets or hands-on props, a very exaggerated fantasy setting, very dark undertones. I actually like to call it the Muppets for Goths. You know, because Jim Henson made all the props. And last but not least, we have The Nightmare Before Christmas. Yes, I did. I sure as did put that in there. The Nightmare Before Christmas was a cornerstone for goth kids in the 90s and early 2000s. It's literally the OG cliche creepy cute movie. Not to mention, once again, we've got iconic director Tim Burton, who came up with the whole entire concept, and I'm pretty sure it was originally a poem that he first wrote. But there's literally no way that I could not add this movie to the list. It's a must. Now, as far as some runner-ups go, I think we can all agree that The Girl with the Dragon Tattoo is definitely a fantastic choice. A lot of cliche goth vibes, goth music, not to mention that Trent Reznor of Nine Inch Nails wrote either most of or all of the music for the remake film. Also, we've got Donnie Darko, another classic thriller from the early 2000s. Definitely shows a lot of themes of isolation and feeling misunderstood combined with fate and dark, bizarre themes. Not to mention, what songs it got on it. Come on, guys, people that have seen the movie, what song has it got on it? And then last but not least, we have The Cell with Jennifer Lopez. The imagery in this film is phenomenal, as well as the atmosphere and delving into the mind of a serial killer. It's such a unique concept. But as far as anything else goes, everything by director Tim Burton, as I said before, everything by director Guillermo del Toro, and also everything by director Robert Eggers, who I believe personally is a quickly growing staple in the community. Well, there you have it, guys. 10 movies that I, along with many others, believe are essential to goth culture. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did enjoy it, make sure to show your support by smashing that like button and subscribing to my channel to stay updated on future videos. Also, feel free to give me some feedback in the comments section and let me know whether or not you agreed with the list or if you have any suggestions for future content that you'd like to see. Until next time, guys, stay safe, stay spooky. Peace!